Last but certainly not least is James Erwin. James was a 1973 graduate. James had a distinguished football and wrestling career at Triton High School. James was a 5-time varsity letter winner, earning 3 letters in wrestling and 2 letters in football. He also participated in JV football for 2 years. I found in the yearbook that James actually participated in golf for 1 year, but he told me to scratch that because it didn't count. I had to at least mention it. James was an undefeated heavyweight during the 1971 season, which was the first wrestling season at Triton. In 1972, he continued to improve and became a team captain, team MVP, and finished 4th at the regional. Then during his senior year of 1973, James was again named the team MVP, was the regional champion, and became the first Triton individual wrestler to advance to the IHSA state finals. Former Triton wrestling coach Sam Davis called James the opponent's nightmare. He went on to say, imagine being a quarterback lying on your back, looking up and seeing a smiling face offering to pick you up, and then realizing that the face is the reason that you were there for the face is the reason you were there in the first place. Welcome to playing James Erwin. Wrestlers were not immune either. He would talk to you at weigh-in, shake your hand, pin you, help you up, and talk to you after the meet. A lot of us need to learn what Jamie demonstrated. Play with intensity and determination, but life's lessons are not posted on the scoreboard. Accepting the award tonight is James Erwin himself. At this time, I officially induct James Erwin into the Triton Athletic Hall of Fame.
Oh, thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, committee. Bill, you're still here, right? Thank you for driving me many thousands of miles. And one thing that hasn't been said tonight is about all the trust that has been put in you. And I remember when I decided to send my youngest son to Triton because I loved the spirit of Triton and I loved the school, and he was not doing very well. And I decided to send him over here for his freshman year in high school to see if we could, with my mom and dad, kind of change around. And I heard that Bill was going to be his driver, and that just took one big worry off of my list. And it really did. It really meant a lot to me. Thank you. And I also have one real big reason to thank you for being here tonight is because if you weren't here, I would be the old guy. Thank you. It's great to see my our line coach, Bob Burris here. Good. And Yeri, and Randy was a good friend. He was a great manager, and he was just wonderful. I'm so glad to see you here too. And we miss Randy. I miss Randy. I have no idea what I was going to say now. It's amazing how that just blows away in your mind. Oh, I do remember, because it changed. It changed when I was sitting out there tonight. My first son is named Benton Edward. And when I was asked to do this, I hadn't thought about high school athletics for a long, long time. And I got thinking about what it was, and I got thinking about my 2 best buds growing up. One was Ben Becknell. I don't know if many of you remember Ben Becknell or even knew Ben Becknell, but we were born a few weeks apart. We were raised in the same church. We were in the same crib room. I never really knew life without Ben. We were best buddies. I mean, we were inseparable through elementary school. And we grew up, and he was so competitive, and he was so aggressive, so competitive. And we were growing up together till about 5th grade. Then he sort of stopped growing, and I kept growing. And I don't know if you remember Ben, but he had cystic fibrosis. And that meant he stopped. But he was so competitive that he continued to beat me at everything we did, except he never wrestled me. But he would beat me at basketball. He'd beat me at anything we tried. He would beat me. And he stopped growing. He was about 95 pounds when we were seniors. And he went out for football as a senior. And what courage, what guts, what spirit. And he lettered legitimately. This is one of my favorite trivia questions that I tell people about Ben being 95 pounds and legitimately lettering in football as a senior at 95 pounds. How did he do it? Now, if you remember him doing it, don't say. But he legitimately lettered as a senior at 95 pounds. If they can't get it, I give them a hint. I say, we were a pretty good team. They still think, every once in a while, he would hold the extra point because you only had to play one play in any one quarter to qualify for playing the whole quarter. And we scored in over half our quarters. So he legitimately lettered as a senior at 95 pounds in football. And also, Ed, I'm sure you remember blocking. I don't think anybody ever worked harder on a line than blocking for him when he was holding that. I don't think he was ever touched either, was he? Well, anyway, my son's middle name is Edward, after my high school best bud, the guy that was right there with me through everything. And I did become a pretty good wrestler, and there's only one reason I was a good wrestler, is because I had somebody constantly making me be my best all the time, every minute of every practice. And that was Ed. So I'm going to speak, and thanks to the committee for nominating a lineman and a wrestler. And I'm going to, hopefully I can be smart enough to refer to us as we go through the rest of this speech. Now, I know that everybody's regretting having that second glass of lemonade, so there goes the first half of this. Because I know I am, so. I've heard a lot of talk about Coach Ron Smith tonight.
But there was another Coach Smith.
Is there anybody that hasn't heard of Charlie Smith? A lot of people thought Charlie Smith was crazy.
I'm not so sure I can argue with that.
But he wasn't crazy the way everybody thought. Everybody thought he was crazy about winning. He was not crazy about winning. He was absolutely phenomenally crazy about doing your best. And I was a pretty mediocre athlete through junior high and freshman year. I didn't really excel at much of anything. But there was something about that Charlie Smith. You know, have you ever heard about him putting his fist through a blackboard at halftime? Anybody hear about that? Putting his fist through the blackboard? That's true, he did. We were ahead. We were ahead, but he thought we were goofing off. He was absolutely crazy about winning. And, you know, I'm glad today my kids were in athletics, and I'm kind of glad that coaches have changed their approach to motivation. You know, it was like, how many times did you hear, Erwin, you got 2 speeds, slow and stop. Rock, my grandmother's faster than you, and she's...
Doesn't have any legs.
I didn't coach him. I just knew he would know. And my favorite was, Erwin, you may be fat, you may be slow, but you're stupid.
But anyway, his spirit of doing your best is what really stuck with me and what really made me just always thought, you know, it wasn't about winning, it wasn't about killing somebody, it wasn't about competitive. I'm not a very competitive person. I really don't think I am. But there was something about just doing your best at everything you ever try to do. And that's what he instilled us, and I love the man today for that. Oh, let's see. Lastly, one more thing about football. I do have a confession to make.
And this is a confession that I've held in me for all this time. I'm going to make it to you guys tonight. It was the last game of my senior year. We were playing North Miami. And they had not scored all year. We were ahead of them, 50-some to nothing. And Coach Smith said, hey, who wants to play what position? My buddy Ed was playing safety. Do you remember playing safety? Yes. Not typical safety. Okay. I was really risky. I decided to play linebacker instead of tackle. Well, the clock was ticking down. They hadn't scored all year. And they were really mounting a drive against this ragtag team of all the kids that hadn't played and people playing positions they never played. And they worked their way down to about the 30-yard line. And their guy shoots through, and I'm playing linebacker, and I step aside. And then I see a guy coming down here, and I go up on margin, and I walk. And the guy scores a touchdown. Time runs off the clock. I can hear Charlie Smith screaming at me. He is a profanity. I love it. What the blank are you doing? And what it was is the last play of my game, I saw both teams. When I heard him yelling at me, but I was just so happy because both teams won that game. Because they went off, they did not go a whole season without scoring, And of course, we beat them 50-some to 6 because, as I remember, they did get to try the extra point. So I remember the guy dropped it when he was trying to hold it. They didn't it didn't really matter much. But that team, their fans were cheering. Our fans, we won. There was nothing else, but it was such a great feeling to have both teams go off winners off that field. I filled that in all these years. Yes, I did that. So I feel a little better now. It's been mentioned that Steve's here, Steve Blacker on the First Wrestling team. Evan's on the First Wrestling. I don't think there's anybody else who's on the First Wrestling team here. Thanks for your support for the program. We all started wrestling together, including Coach Davis. You never wrestled as a kid, right? We all started together. Sometimes we used to joke, now, we never joked in front of you this, but we'd say whoever read the chapter ahead was the coach that night. Yeah, he's pointing at Jim, which is probably right. But Sam, he was a good coach. He was a smart coach because what we did was we ran 1/3 of the time, we weightlifted 1/3 of the time, and then we wrestled 1/3 of the time. Which most other schools would wrestle at least half the time, or more than half the time. If our player, he realized we didn't know that much about wrestling. But if our players made it into the third period, they would win because we were in so much better shape than any of the guys who wrestled. And if we didn't make the third period, boy, we were going to win. It didn't matter because we were in so much better shape. And that's why I think our teams were just so darn good right there. But anyway, really, I graduated. I went to Purdue, wrestled for a couple of years, and doctor pulled me off with some injuries that I couldn't deal with. And but Sam went on and coached thousands of kids. I know you probably heard about it last year. With USA Wrestling. How many thousands of kids did you and Jimmy coach? I mean, just touched all. He kept on in wrestling and made it into the Indiana State Wrestling Hall of Fame. How many of our coaches made it into the State Hall of Fame from Triton? I don't know if anybody else has, but it's my respect for Sam Davis has done nothing but grow and grow and grow since I was one of his players. He coached USAA, and some of the things that you might not even know, I'm on the grants committee for the Community Foundation, and he put in a grant for one of his long-distance race car, where to see how many miles they can get out. And boy, the committee just granted it right away. But what was really great was when the next grant meeting, somebody brought the clipping of the car to the meeting. And they said, this is what we need to do more of. This is what we need to be doing as a grants committee for the Marshall County Community Foundation. I was so proud that I was one of his wrestlers, This is great. I bought some candy at the game last night. And he immediately corners me to know who I know that knows fiberglass so he can build a better body for his cars this year. So he just, my respect for him has done nothing but grow and grow and grow as time has gone on. So, thank you all. Thank you, Triton. The school has a great spirit that I've never experienced anywhere else. So, thank you.
Sam called James the opponent's worst nightmare. It sounds like he was the opponent's best friend. Only one time? Okay, at least that you'll admit to. Well, James certainly was a guy of first. He was a member of the first winning season in Triton football history in 1970 with a record of 8-1. He was a member of the first ever Triton wrestling team, and he was the first Triton individual wrestler to advance to the IHSA state finals. But I'm honored tonight to be able to turn the table on James and be the first to congratulate him on this great honor. Thank you, James. Well, this concludes the induction ceremony for the class of 2013. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in congratulating these coaches, athletes, and contributors who I told you were above average for their many accomplishments, contributions, and lives they have touched. This has been a very special evening, and I thank each and every one of you here tonight for helping to make it so special. I also need to take the time to thank a few important people for their efforts in making this evening possible. First and foremost, I'd like to thank my family. To my parents, Todd and Jamie, who taught me so much about leadership, about success, and about life. My wife, Lindsay, and my two children, Anna and Sam, who are always so supportive of me and often sacrifice their time with me so I can give to others. I need to thank Superintendent Donna Burrows for her vision and direction of the Triton School Corporation. High School Principal Michael Chobanoff, who has given me the freedom to run my department and the support when times are tough. Thanks to Assistant Principal Bob Ross for always being the first to lend a helping hand. To the Triton School Board, I thank you for continually doing what's best for Triton students. And to the Selection Committee, none of this would have been possible without your knowledge and your support. So I thank you, Ken Blackford, Hal Kuntz, Larry Limler, Dave Shively, and Dwayne Walters. It has been a great joy to work with each and every one of you. I need to thank Todd Gongwer, who donated his time to be with us tonight and give us such an inspirational message. Todd, your mission to serve others by reminding us that our life should be centered around a relationship with Christ is appreciated. I would also like to remind everybody that if you would like to read Joe's book, or Joe's the character in the book, you'll get to that if you read the book. Read Todd's book. I highly recommend you do it. It's a life changer. To the Back 40, thank you for allowing us to use this beautiful facility. To Back 40 Catering and the staff that served tonight, we thank you for a wonderful meal. Thanks to Marcel Lindsay, who helped prepare the appetizers at last night's hospitality room, and here tonight at the banquet. Marcel also punched and bound all the programs that are here tonight. So I give a sincere thank you to Marcel Lindsay. Yeah, sure, go ahead. To the Coca-Cola Bottling Company and the Winning Edge in Rochester, I thank you for your willingness to donate to this great banquet. To Orion Limler and Reed Monosmith, thank you for your videography and your time spent developing and producing the inductee slideshows. I also would like to thank Jared Crooks and SJ Photography for providing photography for this weekend's events. I also need to say a special thank you to our corporate sponsors tonight. North Central AgriPower, Ball Auction and Realty, the First State Bank of Bourbon, and Limler Oil. Your continuous generosity is appreciated. None of this would have been possible without the help and the support of all these people. Please help me thank them. The undertaking of starting and continuing a Triton Athletic Hall of Fame has taken me on some unforgettable journeys, and I will be forever grateful for these experiences. The people that I've met and the stories that have been shared are truly inspirational. Because of the Triton Athletic Hall of Fame, we've been able to honor Coach Mark Heater for his accomplishments as the girls' varsity basketball coach. We've been able to give back to William Mororty and the late Kenneth Keller after the many years they have given to Triton Athletics. I thank each of you for impacting the lives of so many students and student athletes at Triton. Through this journey, I've had the opportunity to honor Julie Lozier, Jack Carpenter, Kirk Kreft, and James Erwin, 4 Triton legends who paved the way for our department. And more importantly, 4 wonderful people who I trust will continue to do great things in their own lives and in their current communities. I thank each of you for working with me on this journey, and I want you to know that I've learned something from each of you and the above-average stories that you have shared. I hope that we will continue to stay in touch, and together we can continue to build a better Triton. In closing, I want to share with you one of my favorite quotes. This quote has been so meaningful to me that I share it almost every time I have an opportunity to speak in front of a group of people. Cal Stoller, former football coach for the University of Minnesota, often said, "Success is uncommon. Therefore, it is not to be enjoyed by common people." If you stop and think about these words, you realize that they couldn't be more true. Success truly is uncommon, and the people that we have inducted here tonight know this better than anyone. Although I'm saddened to see this evening come to a close, I'm excited about tomorrow and what the future holds for our inductees, our athletic department, and our community. The future classes of the Triton Athletic Hall of Fame proved to be promising. It's my hope that you will join us in 2014 as we continue to recognize the uncommon and induct the 4th class of the Triton Athletic Hall of Fame. Although this officially concludes tonight's activities, I welcome each of you to stay, enjoy a time of fellowship with our guest of honor. Please enjoy that time together and travel home safely. On behalf of the Triton School Corporation, the selection committee, and the inductees themselves, I thank you.